Welcome to Water Myth Busters channel. The channel exists to make water info simple, accurate, and useful by using evidence, and help people to highlight real-world water challenges. Today we will examine Pakistan's Indus Basin militarization and South Asia's resource pressures, analyzing the Indus as both a flashpoint and a foundation for environmental peacebuilding. So let's start.
Think about this. A single river system that's the lifeline for hundreds of millions of people spread across two nuclear-armed nations. For decades, the treaty governing the Indus River has somehow survived multiple wars. But new research is asking a really critical question. Is this lifeline about to become a flashpoint for conflict? Or could the river itself actually hold the key to a more peaceful future?
Okay, so take a look at this map. This is the Indus River Basin in Pakistan. And all those dots, those represent dozens of military cantonments and estates. It really makes you stop and think, right? Why is a nation's lifeline so heavily militarized? Well, the answer lies in the immense pressures this river is under.
You see, the Indus is being squeezed from, well, just about every direction. It's a combination of intense demographic pressure, super-fast urbanization, and of course, the ever-present threat of climate change. And all of that is transforming this essential lifeline into a potential flashpoint for real instability.
Let's start with this number. In 2023, Pakistan's population was over 242 million people. That's a massive number of people who depend directly on the water flowing through the Indus Basin for their survival and, for their entire economy.
And that pressure is getting more and more concentrated. An urbanization rate of almost 35% means more and more people are living in cities. This just cranks up the demand for water, not just for farms, but for homes, for sanitation, for industry, all in these really densely populated areas. And then you throw climate change into the mix. The source material we're looking at calls it a threat multiplier, and that is the perfect way to put it. It's speeding up the glacial melt that feeds the Indus while also causing these devastating floods like the ones back in 2022. It basically just amplifies every single water-related challenge they're facing. And I mean, look at how high the stakes are here. A staggering 92% of Pakistan's water is used for agriculture. 92%. So any threat to the water supply is a direct threat to the country's food security and its economic stability. You can see how when a resource is this vital and under this much stress, the state's response can pretty quickly shift from just management to national security.
So, this all brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. The response, as this research shows, has been a growing securitization of water resources. It's turning the Indus Basin into what's described as a zone of militarization.
So what does militarization actually mean in this context? When we say that, we're not just talking about armies at a border. No, it's the use of military and security forces to directly control and manage resources, things like water infrastructure. We're talking dams, canals, and the rivers themselves.
And believe me, this isn't just some academic theory. Check out this table. These are just some of the official riverine police posts that have been set up in different districts all along the Indus. This shows a really deliberate strategy to place security forces right on the waterways, and they're tasked with everything from counterterrorism to just general law and order.
And if you want to understand the mindset behind all this, just listen to this quote from a former Pakistani foreign minister. Water isn't just framed as an environmental or an economic issue, it's framed as a matter of national security, one that could, and I'm quoting here, lead to war. That kind of thinking helps explain the logic behind the militarization we're seeing on the ground.
Now, as you can imagine, this kind of securitization of water doesn't happen in a vacuum. It creates a really dangerous ripple effect. It starts pulling in other geopolitical players and creates significant new risks for both the people living there and the environment itself.
And here's where the story gets even more complicated. An external player, China, has entered the picture. The massive Diamir Basha Dam project is a joint venture between a Chinese state-run firm and the Pakistan Army's commercial wing. So this directly ties water infrastructure into these much broader geopolitical alliances and rivalries.
But this militarized approach to building infrastructure comes with a steep cost. For one, the dam is being built in a highly active seismic zone. But beyond just the geological risks, it's projected to displace nearly 30,000 people. It's going to submerge dozens of villages, homes, farms, and completely erase cultural heritage. And you have to remember the backdrop for all of this. We're talking about decades of conflict. The Indus Waters Treaty of 1960, which you can see right there on the timeline, has been this remarkable point of stability through it all. But securitizing the water today adds this volatile, brand new layer to a long and really troubled history. So if militarization is the problem, is there another way?
Well, the research we're looking at today argues for a pretty radical shift in perspective, away from securitization and towards a framework known as environmental peacebuilding. The whole idea is to transform this shared resource from a source of conflict into a foundation for cooperation.
So what is that exactly? Well, put simply, environmental peacebuilding is all about using the management of natural resources, like a shared river, as a tool to actively build a lasting peace. It completely reframes the challenge from how do we control this resource to how can we cooperate to sustain it for everyone.
It all comes down to this idea of a triangle, with 3 pillars that absolutely depend on each other. You can't have lasting water peace without water security for everyone involved, and neither of those is possible without the sustainable management of the river itself. Each one reinforces the others. It's a package deal.
Okay, so how does this actually work in practice? I mean, what does it look like on the ground? Well, this slide breaks it down really nicely. First, just talking about the environment can open doors for dialogue that are otherwise slammed shut by high-stakes politics. Second, working together means you have to build institutions like joint commissions that create habits of resolving disputes peacefully. And third, and this is so important, it gets to the root of the problem by creating frameworks for fair and equitable resource sharing. And that really brings us full circle, right back to where we started. The research suggests that the path of militarization just leads to greater risk, more instability, and a massive human cost. But it also presents another possibility, that this shared, stressed, and absolutely vital river could become the very reason that old rivals find a new way to cooperate for their mutual survival.
So this whole explainer was based on the research paper, Navigating the Indus Waters Treaty and Peacebuilding, the growing case of strategic militarization in Pakistan's Indus Basin region. It was authored by Pintu Kumar Mahala and published in the Peace Studies Journal. Thanks for joining us.
And do not forget to like, share and subscribe the channel.